Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these coins. We're going to look at Bitcoin obviously because we need to, but we're going to focus on TRX on this video too. So a lot of people on my Telegram have kind of been putting requests through, and it's been difficult for me to actually commit to making as many videos as I'd like to, family and stuff like that, which is why I'm wearing this hat. We're in the middle of basically doing Christmas decorations, you got to do that. When you got kids, that's what Christmas is for. So anyway, I've been able to drag myself away from all of that. Let's have a look at some of these coins. And before we do that, I just thought I'd let you know that Bitsgap, if you're doing the trading bots, this is the time you've got. What day is it now? So you basically, I believe this finishes tomorrow, so you can get 30% off your bots. So if you set up for a yearly plan on this one, you can get 30% off. If you're just doing the monthly plan, you can also get 30% off that monthly. These are the normal prices here actually, so that doesn't take into consideration the 30% off. So like I say, a good deal going on right now if you want to get in the bots. A lot of us are doing the bots at the moment. I'll be doing the bots. Bots are a part of my channel now, so if you want to get in, this would be the time to do it. Anyway, let's get back to it, shall we? Excuse me. So yesterday, I suppose, I was looking for a breakdown of this. We were stuck, not stuck, but we were playing this range. This was the range to be played, and what I said was, I suppose, whichever way it breaks out of is going to be the range of continuation. I did try and get clever and try to short some of these areas, and it's not really worked out for me. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out for me, and so I've been stopped out on those. But it doesn't mean that I believe that the continued direction is up. I do think that we're going to have a pullback on this one, but there's a few things to bear in mind. So where are we? Blockchain whispers. We are up to the longs. Basically, we're up basically over 10% now. Over the weekend, the longs have increased by over 10%. So take that for what it's worth. But one way to look at it is that obviously the sentiment is extremely strong. But also, one other thing to think about is that the longs, these most recent longs, have been created within this range here. So just to bring that down to something that is a bit more tangible, that means that people are going to either try and ride this up to the all-time high and beyond with their longs, or they are going to start getting stopped out around about the levels of around about 17,200, where I started to see these longs start to really increase, which basically means that if Bitcoin were to start breaking down to around about 17,200, longs might not necessarily get liquidated, but people might start taking profits, and you'll see some of those longs drop back off. Doesn't mean that the shorts will increase, but it means that the longs are going to start decreasing, as people are probably just going to cut their losses or take a bit of profit as they see the price going down, which I do believe it does, because this isn't a specific indicator, but it is a statistical fact that over the weekend it's almost always bullish. And what happens over the weekend is that obviously CMEs are closed. CMEs are a big deal for Bitcoin. Lots of money from CMEs. Doesn't take into consideration or anything that you saw on this blockchain whispers. It's its own deal, and it trades Monday to Friday. Now the CMEs closed as we were coming down here, which means that there's a CME gap around this area here, which is quite close to the price action we're at right now, which most of the time, it's not always the case. There's a lot of CME gaps that don't get filled. I'm not saying that we're going to fill the gap, but what I'm saying is the direction has been down as far as CMEs are concerned, and the counter trend over the weekend has clearly been up. But I do believe that maybe this evening or tomorrow there is a chance that we do break down back to where we were, and we'll continue with the direction specified by the daily chart, which, even though we've had a nice pump here, I think we're likely to perhaps maybe come down. This is, in my view, a consolidation still, and the consolidation is yet to be complete. Doesn't mean that we're going to crash. I'm not saying that Bitcoin's dead. It's far from it. It's very, very, very much alive, and you can see that even from this buyback here over the weekend. But it is weekend price action, not really to be taken too seriously, even though there are generally, many occasions where moves do get played over the weekend. Anyway, bear in mind, CME gap is down into this range, 16,500. I think those areas will get met again sooner rather than later. So that is the deal with Bitcoin. Currently, we broke above the 10 exponential, which is where I was trying to get short from, and that didn't work out. We've broken above, but are now sort of being dragged back underneath the 7 simple moving average, which is also around about 18,000 flat. But if we're closing above these levels and turning them back into support, it would be bullish continuation. But I'm kind of not really feeling it at all, to be honest with you. I think it's time to just be kind of very careful with what you're doing with Bitcoin. Wait for the confirmations, and I think that's what I'll be doing from now on. I'm not going to try and get clever. I'm going to wait for the confirmations, and if I miss a move, I miss a move. The idea for me now is to wait for this breakdown to complete, and when it is complete, just start going long. You know what? I did do a nice short here. That was okay, but as far as these little shorts over this weekend are concerned, it's not worked out for me. So I'm not going to try and be too clever about it. I'm going to wait for significant areas to buy back from, go long from. I think that's going to be the main thing now. So continuation of the consolidation likely to play out next week, but don't hold me to it. We have been very bullish over this weekend, and there's nothing to say that just because 100% of the time statistically a counter trend over the weekend fails if the main trend has finished in the down, which was Friday. Just because that happens 100% of the time doesn't mean that it's going to happen every time. It's happened every time in the past. Does it mean it's going to happen this time? No. Statistically, is it more likely? Yeah, it is. So trade with statistics, I suppose. So let's have a look at TRX. So before we have a look at it on these small-term time frames, we're going to have a look at it on the longer-term time frame on TradingView. This looks very much like something that we've looked at recently, doesn't it? XRP, for instance, looks very much like that. Big parabolic top. Now, I've never really studied TRX. I have put a lot of thought into XRP, which is why we were able to catch such big moves on it recently. But I've never really looked at TRX, but it does resemble something very similar. But what has happened recently is there has been these massive wicks, and this is always something that's made me not like trading it, because it's just smaller term time frames like hourly and daily we'll look at shortly, but I've always found it to be too unpredictable in its volatility. But now looking at it on the weekly chart, it does look like maybe it's changing its momentum. So first of all, first thing to note is that we're above the 50 exponential on the weekly. We're also above and being supported on the center of the Bollinger Band on the weekly. Now if we go to the Binance chart, we'll do this on the weekly. Something else I noticed here is that we're just turning up ever so slightly, and this should be confirmed next week as the weekly closes today. A positive slope on the MACD, which would be also bullish. We're also above this Ichimoku cloud, which is bullish, also above the center of the Bollinger Band, which is bullish. So there's a lot of bullish indications here. And on this chart, the Binance chart, we don't have it yet, but we do look like we've had a very fast turnaround, and this is one of the reasons I don't really like TRX. We do look like we're going to have a fast turnaround of this Ichimoku Cloud cross. Conversion line over the baseline looks like it is likely to complete if we can just push that a little bit higher. That's all we need to do, just push a little bit higher. Now bear in mind what I'm thinking is going to happen with Bitcoin is likely to happen with the rest of the markets. It's just kind of how it goes. So we're going to look at this on the small term time frames. Now I wouldn't want to trade this on the weekly yet until I got that confirmation of the Ichimoku Cloud conversion baseline cross. That'd be a good buy signal, one that would ask for further price action, and again that is exactly the same Ichi Cloud sort of I suppose doing a complete U-turn there on this weekly on the longer term time frame here. So what I'm saying with this is that this does look like it wants to play out a giant big move. On the weekly it looks quite good, but I'm not saying that this buying it here is going to be the place to do it. This will be a long-term thing. When I made that call with XRP, I did say that the ultimate buy signal has now been created. There will be a very large move with it. Now, what I didn't say is that is a specific time frame. Now, the way I was looking at that chart, which was on a weekly, when you're trading something on a weekly, then it could take weeks for that move to play out, and that's what I was expecting. I was expecting it to take maybe a few weeks, maybe even into January before we saw the moves that we've seen recently with XRP. Luckily, we saw it and we got in and we made the big move anyway. And I'm not to say that the big moves have finished, but in a cyclical sense, there will be a lot more big moves next year. But because we were trading that chart on the weekly and the signal was made on the weekly, I didn't expect it to happen. So in a way, we were lucky. We saw the signal and then it just exploded. So we were lucky. Now we don't have that signal yet here. We did have one back here though. This was the last time we saw an Ichi Cloud cross, conversion baseline cross, and what this would have been if we would have seen it at the time would have been similar to what happened with XRP. So the cross took place here, price action all the way back up here. I can't see what is the What is that? So that was a 200% move from that buy signal there. So yeah, I didn't see that because I don't look at TRX, I don't trade it, but that's where the buy signal would have been, and obviously a 200, a 3x basically from that buy signal. Now what we have here is a sell signal. All right. Despite the fact that we're looping and looks like it wants to create another buy signal, so this one could be a failed one, we have to respect the fact that that has done the inverse cross. And this would be a sell signal from this price action here. So, you know, this is one of the reasons I don't like TRX, because look at this. I mean, from there down to, where was the lowest wick, down to here, 57% move in what, 10 bars, 70 days, 2.5 months. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I mean, that wick in itself is pretty nasty. Also, this wick is pretty nasty too. So this is the sell signal. We don't yet have the weekly buy signal. If we were to get the weekly buy signal again, I would be very interested in picking this up. But at the moment, when I'm thinking that the counter trend is about to end on this Bitcoin rally that we've had since people have been buying the dips, going long on the dips, I do feel as though that's likely to happen. But if I was to balance it out on a percentage-wise, I'd probably say it's only about a 65% certainty that, in my view, that is going to happen. So there's still a very strong chance that we do continue up into next week. But statistically, in my opinion, I think it's more likely that we do carry on going down, even though it's very hard to see that now with the rallies that are taking place all over the place, left, right and centre. But TRX on this weekly does have the sell signal, which is a bit scary. But if we were looking at it on the weekly, what we see is that, yeah, we've been supported so far since we had this massive breakdown, essentially supported on the Bollinger Band, and below that we do have this green 50 exponential. Holding both of these is good. We're being also supported on the top of the itchy cloud, which is also a good sign. But we, like I say, we have to respect that. That is usually a strong sign. Oh, that basically to me is one of many signals that I hold weight on. So that cross, coupled with the fact that I think that there will be more further correction with Bitcoin, would deter me from actually buying in on this now. Unfortunately, if I had seen this one back here, if someone had told me to look at TRX, you know, back here, especially at this point here, where this cross took place, then yeah, it would be a different story altogether. But this one, even though this looks like it might happen, it's not happened, so I can't trade that. So on the short-term time frames, I say short-term, on the daily then, let's have a look at this. So daily is a fine mess. We do look bullish on many of these, so that's okay, but this is coming down. Histogram's decreasing, but we do have a nice kind of spread of the moving averages, I'd say. So we've got the 50, the 21, the 10, the 7, and we do have an each cloud cross around this level here. Pinching of the Bollinger Bands, very, very tight pinching of the Bollinger Bands leading to this explosive move. It's a very difficult one for me to call, I'm afraid. Very hard for me to say. Much of this will depend on Bitcoin, and then on the weekly it will depend on this cross taking place if it were to actually happen. But in cyclical terms, it's just like XRP. We're moving into a new cycle, I would say, from this, which means that these are the very start points, basically, of what could be something very special at the start of January or so. As this cloud decreases, we are above it, which is great. But as the red cloud diminishes, we move into the green. So long as we're above it, then yeah, I think TRX is going to do very well next year. And again, you know, it's difficult to say all-time highs, but certainly I think we'll be coming up to areas like 21 cents. So which is just short of you know, what's that? It'll be like a 9x or something along those lines. 8x maybe, yeah. So it's not looking too bad, but at the moment I think what we've done is we've missed the main move, and you could go in on this one, you could FOMO into this one, which is what I think a lot of TRX is all about, FOMOing. But the signal isn't quite there, it's not quite ready. So I'll leave it with you there on this video. Join my Telegram, send me some more requests. I'm all set up and ready to continue making videos. I had to go and buy a new monitor. My old monitor broke. It was 11 years old though, I should say, so it's had its day. But when someone's been such a big part of your life, I know it's only a TV monitor, it's like a computer monitor, but 11 years, you know, I've looked straight at that thing for 11 years, and it's sad to see it go. But I got to say, if there was ever a time for a monitor to break it might as well break on the Black Friday sales. Do you know what I mean? So it's not the end of the world. And talking about Black Friday sales, I know I've mentioned it, but get yourself to Bitsgap. I know I've left my Billy Botner. She's still running, or should I say, he's still running. He's slowed down ever so slightly. You can see when the volume was high, a lot more transactions were made on this. They've slowed down now because the volume's trickled off. But I've left it on, and it is still increasing in profit ever so slightly. But yeah, until volume starts to increase on this one, it's not going to be making me a fortune, but it's certainly not losing me any money, I can tell you that. So like I say, get yourself over to get your bots at a reasonable price. I'd definitely say this is a good deal, 30% off, which is cheap anyway. And if you wanted to go for the full steam ahead, you can get 30% off for the full year. You can pay for these monthly. I pay for mine monthly anyway, but I have just extended my plan since it's 30% off now. So anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day and take it easy.